One, two, three, in the place to be. It's your player partners from the bottom of the map.
From the bottom of the map,
It's your dog Israel.
Ike Hayes.
And as always, before you jump in, please hit that like, subscribe, share button. That is Ike Hayes, even though
Hey man, I'm headed to recording this year. You know what I'm talking about? So everybody love ass. You feel me? And that's how I'm gonna be when we have a good season. So riding with that right now.
but yeah, hit that like, subscribe, jump in the comments, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell your big booty auntie now. We in here. We gonna get to it, man. Week one then jumped off, and I think what we know about college football now, um, especially with the last couple of years, is like every week matters. Every week matters. They're gonna be paying attention to what happens every week, for um, pole position, rankings, conferences, who has a good win, who has a bad win, what teams look good, what teams look bad. So like even just for seeing who Miami is going to be matched up against, what their strength of schedule is going to be, their opponent's strength of schedule. So every week matters, and shit, we're gonna get to it. Yesterday really kicked it off. Had a lot of good games yesterday. A lot of good games. One of the games that we were talking about, because they're on our schedule, was South Florida versus Boise State, which turned out to be an ass whooping.
Dog.
You
First quarter, you didn't know. Okay, first quarter, trying stuff. You would have thought the game was one way, but nah, man. USF. If you think about it, every year they've almost been on the brink of good, right? They play Alabama tough. Right now, they looking like they might have found their sauce, and there's a lot of Florida athletes out there. So that was an ass whooping. Okay, Boise State is a well coached team. That ain't no pushover. They're actually ranked 25, I believe, too. And yeah, I mean, shit. Ain't they after the first quarter they didn't score no more. So yeah, that was pretty crazy to me. The other game that I really went to watching was because I'm just watching everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of want to see where, like you said, where is. You don't want to just focus on your team. You want to see the bigger landscape. Ohio, a game you probably wouldn't pay attention to. Ohio and Rutgers, right? Um,
know.
Ciano, that's Cristobal, you know what I'm saying? Pretty much his ex mentor. And Rutgers did their thing, but Ohio, I think Ohio plays in the MAC. They went 11-3 last year. Them boys, fucked around and won their division or won their the title for their conference. They look good, and they actually could have beat Rutgers. And so it's a question to say, okay, is Ohio that good, or is Rutgers really ready for Big Ten play? I mean, it was a run heavy, so I kind of like what they were doing. But man, Ohio, that quarterback is a sleeper. Somebody's gonna pick him up in the transfer portal for some money. Did you see the game where he was? I'm talking about throwing on the dime, throwing. I never seen nobody pump fake hezzy and then throw. I said, oh yeah, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, that game was exciting. So that right there, that might have been my game of Thursday right there. That was the most exciting because I mean, buddy.
Um, Another game that I watched, because we don't play them this year, but just for ACC implications, was Duke versus Elon. If you look at the final score, it was 45-17. That is really not how the game looked at all. That score is a little bit misleading. It was 24-17. Really deep into the third quarter, they got a couple turnovers to kind of bust the game open. They scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. But Duke, we talk about Manny. We talk about what he's going to be able to do there. They look, I don't know, kind of reminiscent of Miami, to where the first half they look a little sluggish. A team, Elon is I forgot what conference they play in, but Elon is a decent team, but it's a team you should put away early. Um, and they didn't put them away early. They gave them confidence. They allowed them to hang around, and the game was looking like, you know, Duke might mess around and lose this game, and that's going to look bad for not just Manny, but that's going to look bad for the ACC. You can't be losing to teams like that. They ended up pulling away at the end. Duke offense looks. They're playing against Elon. Look, they play in the Coastal Athletic Association. Yeah.
Some throws.
So.
I didn't watch the whole game. I watched the abbreviated version. Mensa looked like he's able to throw the to get the ball to him though. So why what the trouble was in the first half, I don't know. I remember there were times where Miami had slow starts out the gate. The defense was making some great open field tackles though and getting to Elon early, but once again it's Elon, so it's kind of like, well, I mean you're supposed to do that, right? Like this is a tune-up game for you. Um, it just it just it just seemed like they didn't really open up the playbook until the second half. Now I want to tell you, during the first quarter, it took for the second quarter for USF to look like that too. USF went for it on their side of the 30 and lost. Okay, that's how the Boise State got the score that they got, and they were three and out. The way that they did not control the first quarter at all. Their possession time was like a minute and 17 seconds, and they had three drives where there were three and outs. So I will say, as we were saying, like look, there's no preseason in college football, so you really, what I'm saying, those little scrimmages don't count. So when you get out here, it's like, look, I understand a slow start, and I don't know. Only thing I'm saying is that I feel like Mensa can make the throws, so it just becomes a question of like, okay, you know what? Whatever their next opponent is, and Miami plays Duke this year, don't they?
No, no, they're not on the schedule this year.
Um, but I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That was a pretty cool little set of game. Any other game?
So another game I looked at, I watched was UCF and Jacksonville State. And I paid attention because Jacksonville State upset a lot of teams. They were good in their conference last year, and then UCF has Scott Frost back as their head coach.
That's right. He's back. Okay.
Scott Frost is back, and I think they went back to him because when they kind of were having like some success, he was their head coach. But he went to Nebraska, tried to resurrect their program there, and couldn't do much. And now he's back at UCF, and they were in the dogfight with Jacksonville State. They ended up winning 17-10. They scored like late in the fourth quarter, but that was a dogfight. I would say Jacksonville State. They had Rich Rodriguez. He's gone. He's back to West Virginia. So they've been like a well coach. They've been getting good recruits. Um, but UCF didn't look good. So so far for the state of Florida, USF is looking, like they could be a player. Um,
Okay.
how much of a player we don't know, but they're on Miami schedule and UCF. You know, we're gonna pay attention to them, but they didn't look very. You know, they didn't look like a well coached team. I am not taking nothing away from Jacksonville State because they played them tough, but this is a team you look at like, man, we should dominate them, and they didn't. So. Those are just a couple of games that we're looking at
I,
before tonight's games and tomorrow.
I did look at Nebraska just because, what I'm saying, Matt Rule, and they were in the dogfight, I think, with Cincinnati. And I was like,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
it didn't look bad, but I was like, damn, Nebraska is not. The only thing I can say though is once again, the team that's winning, they may not be the team at the end of the season, but if you don't win enough games, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? So, uh,
Oh, and that game, that Nebraska Cincinnati game was hyped because Travis Kelsey was there,
yeah,
Pat Mahomes was there. They swear, what's his name, Rayola is
yeah,
is the next coming of Pat Mahomes, but I don't see it.
he didn't look
Um,
bad. Listen, he looks better. He looked like he's coming along, but it's just that again, it's Cincinnati. Cincinnati was getting with them, and I'm like, Cincinnati ain't even known for their defense. You know what? Y'all ain't got no offense, not like that to put your money on. And I'm like, it still reminds me of hard nosed defense, and then we'll figure out how to score. So I don't know. I don't see right now. I don't see Nebraska being a player in the Big Ten, but a lot of these teams that are not good, they're teams that I want to bet with and against as far as their under and overs. Because if you don't got no offense, I'm gonna bet you under. Versus Ohio, we're gonna bet the over, man. But what about the games tonight and this weekend?
let, let's let's get to the game, the big game tonight. We got Colorado and Georgia Tech.
Man, Georgia Tech is a sleeper in the ACC, and that's not just us. There's a lot of big people that like him. I know Josh Pate from Pate State likes him. There are a lot of just betters that really like Georgia Tech because Georgia Tech returns everybody. They got Haynes
and,
King.
and Haynes King is back, and Haynes King put it to us last year.
Did. Yes, he did. Knowing he ain't gonna throw and still can't stop him.
Can't throw for nothing, and couldn't stop him.
Okay, Georgia Tech done beat us the last 2 years. What you talking about? Georgia Tech love when they play Miami because they know all they
Hmm.
got to do is out scheme us, out coach us, and it don't matter who we got. You can have the number one pick in the upcoming year draft. I'm gonna beat you. Okay, I'm gonna beat you. So,
Hmm.
I think they're kind of hating on Colorado. Colorado's kind of getting like just reminiscence of the Shador. So I just think that right now people are looking for Colorado to fail. Colorado though has a dope quarterback coming in. I remember they drafted a good dude. He could have went a lot of places. And so they just have to replace like seven of their receivers. Though all of their receivers left.
Hmm.
We don't know who's going to catch the ball. Um, we know that their line was coming along a little bit better. I don't know. I don't think Colorado's going to get blowed out. I do think that Georgia Tech is returning all that production, and they got a good coach. So I think they're going to win, but I don't think they're going to get blowed out. And I think that's what everybody's looking for Colorado just to get blowed out. And I'm like, nah, that ain't going to happen. I think Georgia Tech will probably win by 2 touchdowns, maybe even three. But I think Colorado, man, I don't know, man. It's cool too to see Dion have to coach like not his son and other players to see if he can get those same results. But I mean, it's a rebuilding year for them, man. What other games you got for me?
Um, well, that's the big game for tonight. I think the biggest thing is, like I said, for ACC play, we're gonna be looking at Georgia Tech and how they fare against, even though it's non-conference. This could be something that helps the ACC. It could hurt the ACC depending on how well Colorado turns out to be. If Georgia Tech wins, and we don't have Georgia Tech on the schedule this year, do we? I don't think we have Georgia Tech on the schedule.
Thank God. Okay, thank God. Um,
But um,
Minor ain't no other kind of like just a good entertaining game tonight.
mm, UNLV plays Sam Houston. Auburn versus Baylor.
Auburn.
Uh,
This listen, they gonna fire Hugh Freeze after this year, and I like Hugh Freeze, but look, man, Hugh Freeze just they what I'm saying, like they gotta go 8-5. They gotta go 8-5 over there. So this is a winnable. Who are they playing?
Baylor.
Oh, this is a winnable game. This is the Big 12. Yeah. This is a winnable game. You got to win this game. If you lose to Baylor at the beginning of the year, it's gonna be a long year for you. So I don't know. Um, All right, but what about Saturday and Sunday games? What we looking forward?
So Saturday is when we gonna jump it all the way off. And I don't know. We can go to the big game right out the gate. Texas, Ohio State.
Texas, Ohio State. They say this is the team of destiny. Texas, preseason number one, returning production, year one. Archie Manning got returning receivers. You know what I'm saying? Got good depth, and they were close last year. They were close the last 2 years. They've been to the playoff last 2 years, and they literally have been a game away. So even though I don't think Texas is gonna win, as far as the championship, I think they're more than capable to believe in Ohio State. Because I guess if I'm really picking one, we don't have a dog in this fight, but I don't like Ohio State. And Ohio State has a lot of unknowns, right? They lost their defensive coordinator. I think they lost their offensive coordinator. They lost their quarterback, but they got Jeremiah Smith. And
Hmm.
this is Ohio State. They reload, baby. So you know what I'm saying?
I think the thing I'm looking at is like, as much as I hate to say it, but college football is starting to get more into the entertainment, what I'm saying, side. So like they don't really have like what are the big storylines this year? You don't got a bunch of them. You got Bill Belichick, but you do got Arch Manning. Arch Manning is a storyline.
Yeah.
Like you say, he's the golden boy. He's who everybody's looking to take over and be the darling of college football. If he goes out and he has a big game, they're gonna put the Heisman crown on him. Um, but we gotta see. We haven't seen him play in where the all the pressure was on him to perform. This is a huge game, game one. Ohio State, defending national champs, and Texas, they gotta prove that they can play with them. Um, didn't that happen? What was it last? Was it last year, or the year before, when Texas played Michigan, and it was like the first game of the season. Um, but you just gotta see. We gotta see like what
Yeah,
these
you
teams are gonna be, because
gotta
these are the who the committees are gonna be looking at, and 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 when you start, because it's what 12 teams this year.
yes.
So 12 teams, you're going to be looking at, okay, Texas, Ohio State, how they fared in their conference, who's a star. So this is just going to be a great game out the gate to kind of set off this first week.
They beat the shit out of Michigan last year. I remember
Yeah.
the game, and it was easy money. But Michigan starts a phenom. They start the number one overall player in their quarterback. So you know what I'm saying. And they beat Ohio State last year. So you know what, Sharon Moore and the boys. I mean, you know what I'm saying. This is supposed to be a year where they kind of right the ship. Right the ship. They end up beating Michigan last year.
Went out for a second, but so we're gonna move on from that game. A game that's gonna be that could be another one of those games where it's the first game of the season. It might not mean much, but we're all excited to see it. The big time matchup is LSU and Clemson. Uh, Brian
Mm.
Kelly, Brian Kelly on the hot seat. Um, a couple years in a row with first game losses on prime time. They're on prime time again, but LSU got to come out, and Nusselmeyer. It's kind of like the battle of the we was called mediocre quarterbacks. Nusselmeyer versus Cade Klubnik.
Oh, you know they love Cade though. Don't That's blasphemous to certain people, even the general public, right? People who are kind of casual football fans, they're just going off of what they're saying, and they love Cade Klubnik. Me and you don't really believe in Cade because you've been
Uh-uh.
trying to tell me Cade was good, and I watched Georgia come to town, and that boy ain't making them. Not only that, if you a UM fan, hell, him and Emory dueling, Emory won the duel. Cade could not stick the ball in the end zone when he needed, and a lot of people, the coaches AP poll had Clemson preseason number one. They love the returning production. They're trusting Dabo. What they're really saying is this. Yes, we believe Cade Klubnik was a C student as far as accuracy. They feel like another year in the system, he's gonna be like this is
Uh-uh.
he gonna have one of them years basically. I don't necessarily believe it, but listen, ever since Sam Darnold had a good season in the NFL, I realized that I'm gonna be 10% wrong on some quarterbacks and accuracy. um, I don't think that Kay Cutler is going to win an elite game, but I guess when it comes down to it, do you think Brian Kelly is going to win this game against Clemson?
No, I don't. I don't believe in him. That was his issue. That was his problem at Notre Dame. He couldn't win the big one. He couldn't. He would get out coached in big games, and that was like a consistency with him. And this is, LSU fans are like, man, we need to be, players in the SEC. We don't need to just be, one of the good teams, the third or fourth or fifth best team. They want to be top one or two. And they squandered away Jaden Daniels, Heisman campaign, with just having an awful defense. Um, so now you got Nussmeyer. He's been in the system for a little while, and it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? This is a game to go out and prove that we could play, we could beat these teams. And like you say, for Dabo, I think Dabo he said he put his trust in Cade. He's not going to the portal for no quarterback. They got a lot
Nope.
of people returning, and this this win. Dabo wins. This is just, you think Clemson be dead and they somehow resurrect themselves. They always come back somehow, some way. We thought they were
They're
dead
picked
last
to
year.
win the ACC too, so they hey,
Um, we can move on from them. Florida State versus Alabama, which is going to be an interesting game.
man. It's crazy because 2 years ago the quarterback that they got was I'm talking about. He had Boston rolling. They took Florida State to the brink when they had Travis Henry. Since then, I'm gonna because I think a lot of times during the preseason, people like to write little columns. He talked junk about Florida State, then he walked those back, and I was just like, damn, you know what? You don't want to rock. Alabama just needs a reason. So he walked the comments back, but they were also saying he had a lot of accuracy problems, and I do remember he was good and he's dangerous, but he does have accuracy problems. Meanwhile, Alabama, we don't know who Ty Simpson is. We don't know who that is. We do know that I'm a big Kalen DeBoer fan. Okay, I like Alabama. I like them really more so with Kalen now. Not to say nothing from Nick. Nick was just great to bet on, but Kalen is used to doing more with less. But I think right now the expectations is, I don't know. I think people are just more looking at other teams. They're looking at Texas. They're looking at other schools. I think people like Alabama, but nobody is seeing Alabama as that killer, and I think that might be a good thing. My prediction is I don't like Florida State no way. Y'all know I got a bias. Shout out to No Sweater Picks because No Sweater Picks says he doesn't like He doesn't like Florida State to lose by 14. I think I like Florida State to get their ass whooped. I think I like them to keep it close early, and then I like Alabama. I like Alabama to act
Mhm.
like they finna make a statement, win real quick, and I like them to beat that ass personally. So that's what I'm going with. But I ain't rooting for Florida State no way. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting game just because they got Thomas Castellanos, they got like a real quarterback. Now that DJ Uyunglele is up out of there, they can say we ain't got to worry about quarterback issues. As far as we know, because we don't know what Castellanos is gonna do in a Florida State. Like you said, when he was at Boston College, he was balling. He's not really like an accurate thrower, but being a dual threat, what I'm saying, that could give Florida State like something they didn't have last year. So we'll see. Like you said, this is year two for Kalen DeBoer. The Bama crazies are gonna be looking for like, hey man, we're not gonna have too many more struggling years. Like we don't do this here. We national champions. We at least one loss, two loss at the most. We don't, but that ain't no every year thing. So I think they're looking for like a really strong start to the season. Kalen DeBoer, I think if even if the game, let's say it's just really close, that seat gonna get hot because I don't think them Bama fans are gonna be used to like sitting around and waiting for the team to kind of come around and get back to the level of dominance that they're used to. I think they're gonna be like, hey man, like, especially if it's against Florida State. Like once you get in the SEC play, and I think they are gonna be changing the schedule next year to where they're playing 9 SEC games. It's gonna be a gauntlet every week. So I do think, but same for Mike Norvell. Like, hey man, if you come out here and you get blowed out, it might be time to get up out of there. It might be time to go for Mike Norvell. Like, we done gave you some time. You've went and got players that you felt like you needed for the program to do what they do. And what was their record last year? What I can't remember what their record was last year. I know they was trash. That's all I know. Them boys was trash. So that's gonna be an interesting game. Another game that could be interesting is
Um,
they got Syracuse versus
man,
Tennessee. Syracuse versus Tennessee is gonna be another interesting game. And Ike has dropped out, but we're gonna keep this rolling. Syracuse versus Tennessee, which is another two non-conference teams. Um, Syracuse coming off of a strong last season. Tennessee had a lot of hype, lost their quarterback, or the quarterback said he ain't want to stay there no more. A lot of college NIL drama, but we're gonna see what Tennessee is gonna be. Um, Syracuse with Fran Brown. I like Fran Brown. Um, they don't have, they lost their quarterback. Um, so we're gonna see what they're gonna be next year. I mean, this year, and Tennessee is gonna be a good test for them. Outside of that, not too many other games to really focus on. Georgia plays Marshall, which should be a pretty fairly easy game for them. Um, yeah, not too much else on the schedule to be worried about on Saturday. But those games that we mentioned are really big games. It's gonna be indicators of how the season is going to play out. Um, Do got Utah versus UCLA, Colorado State versus Washington. And this be some good games to look at. And then we go to he back, he back, he back.
My bad, my bad, my bad. But
Um,
I heard
he
what you
back.
said, man. All of those other games, as far as Tennessee, those are going to be good games. The Florida game, um, Utah and Colorado. Who does Utah play again?
UCLA, which is usually a game that can swing either way. UCLA has lost quarterbacks. Utah, boy Cam Rising is finally gone after 27 years.
You know who at
Uh,
UCLA though, right? Tennessee quarterback.
yeah, but he ain't show me nothing at Tennessee.
He ain't show you nothing, that boy. Come on, no.
Nothing,
Okay.
nothing. So that's why they weren't. That's why Josh Heupel wasn't crying about him leaving. He was just like, you don't want to be here. Go get the money. Like he
The
wasn't worried
coaching
about it.
staff at UCLA though, they brought in a lot of talent. I think UCLA might take a small step forward this year. That's what I think. Good
Um,
coaching staff out there.
but we not UCLA, Utah, Colorado State, Washington. It should be good games. But nobody we really worried about. Sunday, Virginia Tech plays South Carolina,
Mm.
which is going to be a really good game. South Carolina kind of has expectations this year
What do you
versus
mean,
usually,
Lenore Sellers, baby? Lenore
yeah,
Sellers, bro,
they
the
got
man.
expectations um, to be, at least
Playoff.
in the hunt for the playoffs,
They went nine
playoffs.
and three. They trying to go 10-2, baby.
Yeah. So, and you got a Heisman hopeful at quarterback. Um, you got Shane Beamer, who he's been, you know, slowly but surely like getting a strong foothold in the SEC. So this year is the year where they're expecting them, like he's talking about some of these other teams, to take that leap,
Yes,
to go a little bit forward, have some, better wins, and just be a team that's a lot more competitive in the SEC and could potentially, play for a SEC title. Um,
definitely. I
so,
think
but
I think it's very
Virginia Tech is a
possible.
good team also.
I beg to defer. Do they got the same quarterback as last year? I
Yeah.
don't think. I don't. I think he's. So I remember he used to practice with Shador and Cam.
Yeah.
He got
Kayvon
hurt
Drones.
last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he get hurt or something last year?
Six
But I don't
six
know,
two
man. He
two
seems a
thirty
little bit more
five.
street, huh?
6'2", 235. That's a big. Yeah.
That's what
Kayvon
I'm
Drones.
saying. He's got the intangibles. He's got the attributes. I think it's the decision making. I think Virginia Tech, because they have him, and I don't. They got that coach. They got the same coach that is from the same family tree of Dabo, right? Because Syracuse and Virginia Tech. If I'm not mistaken, he's a coach that came. Is it Pry? I think it's Pry. That's there.
Yeah. Pry.
Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying. Like I noticed, and so I'm like, I just think, man, it's not to say the ACC is the best conference, but you know who he reminds me of the potential of. We didn't talk about it, but NC State played Coastal Carolina or Eastern Coastal Carolina, and they got a
They play
NC
East Carolina. They play East
East
Carolina.
Carolina. And North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina State, you can tell that quarterback, he got a cannon for an arm. Okay, he's great dual threat, but it's just a matter of putting it all together. And I think that's where Virginia Tech's at. I think Virginia Tech should have beat Miami last year if we just keeping it G. Because, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We use a lot of questionable calls. So they got to be able to play more ball like that. I don't foresee them winning, though. I think right now, man, listen, South Carolina is they not playing this year. So I don't, I think as long as Virginia Tech plays competitive ball, that'll be a good for them. But I can't see them winning that game.
But yeah, that's about it.
Hold on, I got
For
one more game. Big
what we
game. FAMU plays the Howard Bison. Okay,
got.
rematch of the Celebration Bowl in Hard Rock Stadium. You know what I'm saying? So I think that'll be a good game. It's a lot of controversy right now at FAMU. Howard's president just stepped down. So you know what I'm saying? We talking about the elite. At this point, most people kind of know, like, look, this is like Ivy League HBCU football. So
Oh, of
you know what I'm
course, of
saying, two
course.
great story traditions. So I think that should be a good game, and I'm gonna definitely be tuning in, and I'm gonna be following a lot of HBCU football because we already see how North Carolina Central was one of the most explosive teams that we seen in the HBCU
Hmm.
this year, and I'm like, what?
Hmm.
Okay. So I'm gonna be covering a lot, and a lot of FCS schools, Benedict, you know what I'm saying, Savannah State. Definitely going to be looking for all those schools, and you'll see them in our reaction video. Might even shoot a separate video just for HBCUs, man, because they deep this year. So
We definitely need to do that. Um, so that, yeah, like I said, that's all the games from Friday and Saturday. We got one more game on Sunday, but I think we're gonna say that we're just gonna do a probably a little bit more in depth analysis of Miami versus Notre Dame. We'll get to that. Probably tomorrow. We'll do some pregame.
might as
Um,
well, because besides fans, the rest of the media has picked Notre Dame heavily.
all right, like I said, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll do it. We'll
All
do another
right.
video really get into that. But yeah, this weekend, week one set things off. Week one kind of. I don't think it could derail your season, but if it's a week to lose, it is week one. If you have a good loss, even if it's a bad loss, if Clemson got drugged by Georgia last year and they still were able to recover, so it happens.
Definitely. But after
But
this week, next week, the Pick Father shall return because I want to be able to see what the team's gonna do, and we want to see, like, okay, at least give me some measure of who you are. First impression, baby.
yeah, so we'll do that. Like I said, we'll give you some pregame for Notre Dame Miami. Once again, shout out to everybody who tune in, who check in with your boys, who rock out with us. Jump in the comments. We're gonna jump in there with you. Go ahead and get ready. We're gonna be back. Get your algorithm ready. We're gonna flood you. Um, and shit, till next time, man. Should play a partners from the bottom of the map.
From the bottom of the map,
And we gone.
Joe Gone.